So today I'm going to run through a few common questions which seem to crop up relating specifically to LCME's guitar exams. So this covers RGT LCM's electric, acoustic, rock, bass and ukulele exams. So let's get started. Yes, you do need to make sure that the guitar, bass or ukulele is in tune when you walk into the exam. I think just generally speaking, the examiner is fully expecting that every candidate is ready when they're called to, when they walk into the exam room. You know, their guitar is in tune. If they need picks, they've got them with them. If they need books, they've got them with them as well. I think that also, you know, my advice just would be that when you get to an exam centre, just get, even if you don't want to warm up, just get the guitar out of its bag, stick it in tune, make sure that you're ready to go so that when you are called, you are ready to walk into that exam room. You don't need to take the book with you into the exam if you don't feel that you're going to need it. And in fact, you know, lots of parts of these exams, so the electric exams, for example, you wouldn't really need to use the book because there are essentially a mix of unseen tests, technical requirements, scales and arpeggios for which you wouldn't be able to use the book anyway. I suppose I would probably just say that if you're doing one of the acoustic, rock or ukulele exams, actually, just sticking the book, you know, sticking it in your bag before you leave, so making sure you have got it with you just in case you feel that you need it when you're in the exam. I'm afraid you can't. You must just continue playing once you've started. There maybe is some flexibility in the very early grades if a candidate has started playing and they feel that they've scuffed the first bar or something, they sort of automatically restart. You know, it's sort of permissible, but bear in mind that often this will be reflected in the marks, you know, a brief restart or whatever, and the marks will reflect that comment. So just generally always assume that you mustn't restart, you must just continue playing. I'm afraid not, the examiner isn't able to give you any sort of indication of how the exam went or what sort of marks you got. You will have to wait for your exam report to arrive. Yes, you could enter straight for a grade 8 exam if you really wanted to. You know, there's no need to have grade 4 under your belt, for example, if you wanted to sit a grade 5 exam. But I think personally, I'd certainly say that, you know, I'd sort of advise against it and say that the exams, you know, it's best when you sit the exams in order. You're going to get the most out of it that way. There maybe is some flexibility at the more advanced level. You know, perhaps if you really feel that you want to skip a grade, can be done. But I think you kind of have to deal with that on a sort of, you know, case-by-case basis. But yes, to answer the question, if you really wanted to jump all the way to grade 8 and take the exam, then you could do. I don't believe there's anything stopping you from doing so, but I just think you're going to be holding yourself back as you ascend up through the electric and the rocket grades. On an acoustic guitar, there's going to be things like you know, string bending, vibrato, which come in quite early on, which are going to be more difficult to execute on an acoustic guitar. I would just say, just generally speaking, you know, if you want to play electric and rock guitar and do the grades, you need to have an electric guitar. If you want to do acoustic guitar and do the grades, you need to, of course, have an acoustic guitar, because if you don't, I think it's going to hold you back and it's going to be more difficult to get the higher marks when it comes to doing the exam. Yes, you can if you really want to. If you want to sit 2 exams in one session or one day. I think personally doing any more than 2, and even in one session, is potentially going to cause you sort of unnecessary levels of stress. So I'd probably say, you know, if you really want to do it, keep it to a maximum of 2. But yes, certainly if you want to enter for more than one exam in one day, you can do so. Yes, you can. Firstly, the free choice piece element, you know, you've just got to be wary of the various sort of stipulations across the grade. For example, you know, acoustic grade 6 to 8, you'll need to perform 2 pieces, one of which will need to be from the list, and one of them can be a free choice piece. You know, the rock guitar exams, I think from grade 4, you can select one free choice piece, and ukulele exams, I think it's in pretty much all the grades there's an option to have a free choice piece. So there's plenty of options, you just need to make sure that you are aware of the various stipulations across each grade. I would say that I'd be a little bit careful with regard to self-composed pieces. You definitely need to get some sort of clarity from somebody else as to whether your self-composed piece is suitable for the grade. Even with free choice pieces, I'd be a little bit careful. You know, if you've written a brilliant tune, you know, and it's a grade 2 level piece and everything, but you're trying to perform it at grade 6, it's going to really hold you back, and that's going to be reflected in your mark. So yes, absolutely free choice is allowed across where there's a performance element, but in terms of what that piece is, you have got to be a little bit careful and make sure, whether it's from another tutor or somebody else that is able to give you some sort of guidance. Unfortunately, not only the candidate and the examiner are allowed to be in the room on the day of the exam when the exam is taking place. However, if for some reason the candidate feels as if they need to be somebody else in the room, this can be arranged with LCME. You just need to get written permission, so need to get in contact with the LCME prior to the exam day, so they can let the examiner know there will be somebody else in the room during the exam. In terms of the various elements of the exam, so, you know, oral tests, accompaniment, scales, whatever it is, you don't really need to worry about that because the examiner will conduct the exam. So they will have an order that they work through. So you'll just be asked, you know, for various things as the exam goes on. However, if you're, you know, in terms of your performance pieces, so you're doing an acoustic exam, for example, and you're doing, you know, two pieces and you want to perform in a certain order, that's fine. You just need to ask the examiner when the performance section comes up. Yes, any repeats that are notated on the page need to be observed and played in the exam. I would probably just practice that actually, because it's very easy to forget the repeats. So make sure that when you're practicing the tunes, you're playing them with repeats, even though they are just repeats, just to make sure that you don't forget them in the exam. Thank you for watching. I hope it was useful. If you have any other questions which relate to these exams, do just let us know.